So as the resourceful coach, the biggest thing I want to do is give you as many resources when you go to the golf course. And for me, it's making sure you don't miss anything. And it gives you an opportunity to play your best golf. Now, one of the things that people come to me, probably the most common thing they ask, is they want to be more consistent. And what we've got to look at really is what creates that consistency. Everybody thinks it's their swing. And I'm not saying you haven't got to have a decent swing to be consistent in what you're doing. But actually we need to look at three things: your swing, your thinking, and what we're going to talk about today is your setup. Now the setup is very important, because if the setup's wrong, it makes it very hard then to make the swing. And then if the swing, it feels like it's not going right, you'll probably get a bit frustrated and your mind will get in a bad place. So what I found, I was out the other day using one of the tips that's already on my YouTube channel, which was explaining that if you make the target small, it tends to make the fairway, say, a lot bigger, because you're focusing much clearer. And this one particular lesson had probably the best 9 holes we've ever done, just using that tip. But it was more the comments he made during the lesson that made me think, right, I've got to do this video. And what it was, he said, now I feel my setup is consistent and it feels like I'm aiming where I want to go. The swing that we've been looking to develop can now work. Where he was honest, and he said a lot of the time he feels when he sets up to the shot, he feels like he's not really aiming where he wants to go. It feels wrong, and then he's manipulating the swing as he goes through. So it got me thinking, right, how important is the setup? And we're going to use a little bit of data and a little bit of some ideas here to show you there are 5 parts to your setup, and to hit the shot that you want to hit, they all need to be correct for that particular shot. So what are those 5 things? 5 things are the aim of your golf club, how you hold the club. Those 2 things generally work together to control the club face as you hit the shot. The other 3 points are all to do with your body. So your posture, so distance from the ball, your ball position, and your body alignment. Now, all of these factors need to be correct to fit the shot that you're looking to play. So let's talk about the first 2. Let's talk about the aim of the club and your grip. Now, first thing, aiming the club. I mean, what always interests me is people generally, as golfers, are not particularly good at aiming, which seems crazy. I mean, that's the whole idea of the game. It's a target game. So what we've set up here on the ground, we just put a massive protractor down on the ground. The yellow line is showing us the target line. The red line is showing us a club face position that could be 3 degrees open. Okay, now I've gone and looked on some of the systems that are out there, TrackMan, FlightScope, looked at their data. And if I have my club face 3 degrees right of target and I swing along that line, I'm now going to hit the ball on a 100-yard shot. I'm now going to hit the ball 5.1 yards right of my intended target. So I'm only aiming that club face 3 degrees incorrectly. So you can see the importance of, when we set up to the shot, that we do get that club face in the right position at the beginning. Now, what will control that club face more than anything is how you hold the club. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at that. First thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to use a measure here. I'm just going to measure the circumference of a grip. Okay, now circumference of a grip is about 8 centimeters. Now, this doesn't sound a lot what I'm going to say here. So let's say I'm holding the club from the correct position, and that would bring the club face back square. But let's now say I've got my grip 5 millimeters wrong. Doesn't sound a lot, does it? 5 millimeters. But relative to our 8 centimeters, that's about a 16th. Now, my maths isn't that good, so let's just use my phone here to just get us some data. But what we're going to look at here is, if we looked at what's the 16th of 360 degrees, because that's the circumference, isn't it? 360 degrees of a circle. So 360 divided by 16, because that's basically 5 millimeters over 8 centimeters, about 16th. That's 22.5. So if I get my grip 5 millimeters wrong, that could alter my club face by 22.5 degrees. That's 7 times more than what we're saying here. So 7 times 5 yards, we're talking 35 yards offline. So by just having my grip wrong by 5 millimeters, I can now hit the golf ball 35 yards offline, over 100 yards. If you're now hitting it 200 yards, double it. So now we're talking 70 yards offline. You're never going to hit a fairway. So it shows the importance, how important the setup is, and these two factors: aiming the club, gripping the club. Okay. Now, if we look at the body, how important is that? Well, let's just do the simplest one relative to what we've just talked about. Alignment of body. If my body now is lining up more parallel to the red stick, I'm aiming 3 degrees right of my target. There we go. We're 5 yards offline straight away. Now, this is one that the ball position, we don't tend to talk maybe about and how much that's going to affect the shot. But again, with these TrackMan systems, the biggest thing they've shown us is what we call the angle of attack and how much we're hitting down on the ball. Now, if we happen to have the ball position in the wrong place, let's say I've got the ball too far back and I'm now hitting down by about 2 degrees, that's actually going to push my shot another degree right. So just by getting the ball position wrong, approximately 1 inch, 2 inches, that's going to hit the golf ball now 2 or 3 degrees right of where you believe you're going to hit it. And the same factor if you had the ball position too far forward. So we can see the importance so far of the setup. If I'm not aiming the club right, I'm not holding the club right, my alignment's wrong, my ball position's wrong, that's going to all affect the direction that I swing the club. Now my posture's important because that gives me the chance, as I said up to the ball, to feel now I can return the club back to the bottom of the ball. So again, if you're too close or too far away, that may change. You might hit the ground behind the ball, you might top it. But the likelihood is if you're in the wrong posture position, you're going to probably lift your body or drop as you go through the shot, which again could affect how much you're hitting down or up on the ball. So again, that could push it offline. So we're just showing you fractions here. You don't have to be a long way off to then not quite get the result that you want. So we use that previous video. Always look to make your target small. Really focus very much on aiming your club where you want the ball to go. Get as orthodox as you can in your setup, so you know then from there, yep, my club is good, my grip is good, my stance is good, my alignment's good, my ball position's good, and now it increases the chance that swing can work. But without a good setup, chances are the swing's not going to be as good as you'd like, and also then your thinking's not going to be as positive as you'd like it to be. I hope you enjoyed that clip. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll see you soon.